Welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake Sick with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakesick.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. I am so happy that one of my dear friends from New York City is here. He's a producer and host. He's also the founder of RyeTheNewsGuy.com and Rye Entertainment. So please help me welcome Rye Myers.
Thank you, Jacob, for that wonderful introduction. Oh my gosh, talk about professionalism. I just love that. And the holdout at the end of my name. Wow, that is just, oh my God, wow. I love it.
I'm glad to have you here. So, Rye, how long have we known each other for?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on. We've known each other, has it been 3 years, I guess, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
About, I think.
Yeah, it's been an incredible 3 years. Unfortunately, this is the only, we've only had one time that we faced where we Zoomed this whole pandemic. So,
right.
Thank God it's coming to the end. Knock on wood.
Yes, exactly. I hope so. Yeah, right. Knock on wood. You're the God's ears. Let's hope.
Absolutely. So let's get down to it, guys. So when you get interested in the entertainment industry and how did that passion evolve into the desire to pursue a career in our industry?
Yeah, so the passion for entertainment was sort of always there. When I was young, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be on stage. I did local community theater. I did high school theater. I even had some dabblings in meetings with agents, nothing that went anywhere, but, I thought I was going to and wanted to be on TV. And needless to say, and so I performed and all that stuff. I wasn't very good, but needless to say, by the time of junior or senior year came of high school, I knew that it wasn't for me, and I was not at a caliber where I knew I would be able to, I successfully make it. And I had other passions and likings as well that revolved in the entertainment industry, but that's where I got started. And then it sort of just continued from there with, after doing that, I wanted to still really be on TV. I just really liked talking with people. And I had such a fascination for all behind the scenes access for stuff and like interviews, like watching those. I remember watching the Broadway.com behind the scenes vlogs and all like the red carpet coverages and just being like, that's what I want to do. I love talking to people. As people will say sometimes, I can't shut up. And I love getting to know people. And so it was sort of always there. I've never seen myself really doing anything else. There's been a lot of times where I've thought, well, what if is there like another plan B but the entertainment industry is what I want to do, where I'm supposed to be. And yeah, it's been in my blood, which is weird because I don't have anyone in the family that's ever been in the entertainment industry or who has done anything remotely close to this. So.
The story is same with me, my friend. Story is same with me. Theater nice. From 5th grade to senior year. But however, it was like watching people like Katie Couric and Regis Philbin and of course Rosie O'Donnell when she had that in still one of the best talk shows of all time.
I'll be honest with you, not to get too off topic. It is, and I've always said I think there needs to be a talk show that is like that. Today, I hope as we get back from this pandemic, I hope that whatever talk show, maybe it'll be my talk show, a talk show of some sort, has that feel that focuses on Broadway, on theater, on performance, that highlights not just a show every few months or every now and again, but actively has, theater highlighted on it like Rosie O'Donnell did. I think that was what made it so special on top of all of her star-studded interviews, was that she highlighted and really gave a voice to Broadway that people could see from home. And so I hope that we see that because, yeah, her show was great.
I'm so happy because I've been watching her on her YouTube channel. Like she's posting clips from old shows. Like I'm seeing like she did a great one with Aretha Franklin.
Wow. Yeah, I have to watch that. I didn't see that. That's really cool.
It's grand. I'm just happy that she's posting stuff, and it's hard to believe that show's is celebrating its 25th anniversary soon.
Yeah, I just saw actually my Facebook memory just popped up like a few days ago. It was a few days ago that they actually did the live stream year anniversary where she was in her garage and Eric Bergen was producing, and it was that star-studded evening that happened a few days ago last year. So it was crazy. 25 years. Yeah.
Yeah, alrighty. So let's get. I know we can fanboy about Rosie all day long, but however, we got to get to your story, my friend. So, what's Rye the News Guy's origin story?
Yeah. So sort of on top of what I had mentioned with how I got started and really loving entertainment, that the turn of Rye the News Guy story started my senior year in high school when, unfortunately, my school had gone through really a bad sex scandal. I wasn't involved, but I saw how cruel the media could be and how sort of saw it rear its ugly head. And for me, it really affected me. It was something that I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. This is not something that I like, I enjoy. Like, how could this be? And people be so negative and cruel, and the way that, these reporters were trying to, sort of harass our students and stuff. And I said, I want to make a change. I want people to have news that's positive. And I got done school and I thought, well, let me create something on my own. And I talked to a few people and they said, why don't you start a blog? I thought, okay, I knew it was going to be interview-based, like entertainment and Broadway, but I didn't know where to start. So I did it. And in 2013, it was called the Positivity Project before Rye the News Guy. And for about a year and a half, I was trying to get my footing. I did some interviews. I was just sort of like a deer in headlights in a good way. I launched a clothing line. I was trying to really find my footing, and was just excited to be able to have this access to interview people, to go to Philadelphia, the local city near where I lived, to review shows and get to interview them. And then after about a year and a half, 2 years of doing this, I realized that I needed to sort of rebrand and refocus in. And after talking with some people, I rebranded to RyeTheNewsGuy.com, which came from actually a friend of mine who's a Philadelphia, real big in the entertainment industry in Philadelphia. His name's Huey Dillon. And he had mentioned the one night, oh, why don't you call yourself like Rye the News Guy, when I first started out. And in my head, I dismissed it. I thought, oh, that's a weird name. And fast forward a year and a half later, I made my Twitter name Rye the News Guy. But I thought, you know what? That's really interesting. Rye the News Guy. So in February 2015, I was like, this is unique. This is something that makes people like sort of turn their heads in a good way. And so in 2015, I launched, officially changed over from the positivityproject.org to RyeTheNewsGuy.com, and sort of took off from there. And my focus from the beginning and still to this day is positive, good, lighthearted news with no gossip, no negativity, and focusing and believing that you can talk with people in the industry, Broadway, entertainment, pop culture, and be able to talk about things that they're doing, their life, that isn't gossip and negative and drama. And yeah.
I believe you and I are on the same page when it comes to the no gossip rule, because I believe that Harvey Levin and Perez Hilton took a dump on the entertainment industry, and I think that's the reason why we got into action.
Oh, yes, from TMZ, yeah.
All right, so I cannot believe it's celebrating 6 years this year. So how has the Rye the News Guy brand evolved since its launch?
Wow, yeah, I know. I can't believe it's been 6 years either. It's funny, every year I'm like, oh, I'm going to do something big for the anniversary. And, last year it was going to be 5 years. We had COVID, and, it's evolved in more ways than I thought. It's gone from me just using like a simple like Weebly site and throwing things on the website of interviews that I did to, from doing just regular print interviews, whereas you send questions to the people in advance, they answer it and posting it, to getting invited to press events, to cover red carpet events, to go to opening nights of shows, to talk with people in person and do really what my bread and butter is, what I love, interview people and get to, have more associated with me than just like a digital format of just Q&A. And it's grown rapidly. It's gotten more and more, it's grown in a modest way, more recognition, but, growing the social platform, that has also evolved. It's been a whirlwind. I look back at it and I still am shocked. I still can't believe sort of how far it's come. There's still so far to go, but and then obviously, and we can talk about this later, but then it is evolved all the way to present day with Live with Rye. So it's come a long way, and I can't believe it. And it's still evolving. Every day it's evolving.
While we're on the subject of Live with Rye, when did you get started with this digital series? And I know that we talked off camera about this, but however, how is it different from a digital series to a podcast?
Yeah, so I got started with this back in September. The pandemic hit. My full-time job I was doing went on hold like everyone else as our jobs affected. And the spring and summer for me was really tough, like a lot of other people. And by the time it got to be late summer, I was like, I have to do something. I have to pivot. I have to work on myself. And the idea came. I was seeing a lot of live streams going on, a lot of, sort of things like these. And I was like, you wanted to interview so many people. You want to continue doing this. I mean, people are home now. You might as well do something. And I thought, okay. So my mind sat on a podcast for a bit. I thought, well, what do I do a podcast? I'd had an idea about a year and a half ago before COVID to do a podcast, and it never developed. I thought, what? Not anything bad. I thought a lot of people are doing a podcast. Let me do something different. And I was liking this sort of live stream stuff. I thought, what? Let me go for it. Let me create my own talk show. So I don't know where I came up with it. I just came up with the name Live with Rye. I figured I'd take a little play on sort of, these other, like Live with Kelly and Ryan and Live with so-and-so. So I thought Live with Rye. And I think it was like the third week of September, I went live with my first guests, and it snowballed from there. And it's been something I've loved. And I think the difference between what Live with Rye, which is a live digital talk show series, and a podcast, which people do get confused, and I can understand. The only, I guess, difference is that my show you can find and watch on YouTube, on my website. It's not on any listening platform such as Spotify or iTunes. You could technically listen to it, in the shower or on the go with the headphones in, but it's more of a virtual interaction. You're watching a show compared to just like listening. So you get to see me and the guests interact. And so it's more, and as I said, it lives on YouTube. So it's not on any sort of podcast platform. And yeah, I've done it since September, and it has just been a whirlwind. And I'm still happy that I did it, and it changed my life for the better because it turned me around like 180 and just changed my life. And that opened a lot of opportunities, and it's been incredible.
So I've been looking inside. So guys, I've been looking inside Rye's interview library from his past 6 years. So I decided to bring a couple of them out and talk to you about them. So one thing that I wanted to look at is one of your earliest interviews. It was at the 25th anniversary gala of the new 42nd Street Foundation. And you had the opportunity to sit down with not just one, but three heavy hitters when it comes to the entertainment industry. Susan Stroman, the legendary mastermind behind the producers. Actor Tony Yazbeck, and probably one of our generation's top dancers, Tyler Peck.
Yeah, it was crazy. And also Bill Irwin, which if anybody watched Sesame Street, he was Mr. Noodle. But that was my first ever live red carpet event that I did. As you can see, it's from it being my first one. I didn't really know things about camera angles and lighting, so it's a little bit dark if you watch it, but for my first time, it was to just be in the room, sort of as they say in Hamilton, the room where it happened, that was honoring Sarah Jessica Parker. So she didn't unfortunately do any press, but yeah, I got to talk with Susan Stroman, which was a shocker. And she is so wonderful. She was so nice, such a sweetheart. Tony Yazbeck, and he talked about what he was doing for the evening and sort of some upcoming things. And that was really cool. And then Tyler Peck, who was really sweet. She was actually, I asked her, who she was wearing, and she was wearing Sarah Jessica Parker's shoes from her shoe line, and I believe a dress from her as well. And it was such a surreal experience for me, and couldn't believe that it happened. I remember I was standing next to somebody who was from People magazine. She was just there, because they're print. And so she was writing everything down on her notepad, and I was like, wow. And there was people from Playbill, and I think I had my name even on the floor too a piece of paper, which I know, a lot of people today are like, they don't think twice of it. But for me, every time I saw that, even still when I see my name, I was just like, it brings almost like tears to my eyes, like, oh my gosh. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm so thankful. I have to just thank the press people who allowed me to happen. O&M DKC, which is a wonderful Broadway press rep group. They are just one of the most kindest PR people. And I was so thankful that they allowed me to be there.
Okay, so your second list interview is someone I really wanted to have on my platform. I'm still waiting, but however, it's your most viewed interview, and it's with probably one of the leading LGBTQ activists that we know and personalities. It's that incredible Tommy Daddario.
Yes, that you said it, most viewed. Let me tell you something. I think I just looked before we came on. It was like at 10,000, like 200 something views. Maybe it's humble. I mean, I would love for all my interviews to get views, but when I uploaded that part, that was from June 2016 at the Broadway Sings for Pride, and I did that separate interview with him. I uploaded it, and I thought, I'll get a few views. I wasn't sure people knew who he was or his platform. And then I remember looking like a few months later, and it was like 1,000, and it just growing. At one point, it was 5,000, and then I don't remember it being at 10,000. I looked a few months ago, and it was like at 10,000. I was like, holy crap. That I was shocked. And yeah, he's just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I too actually was hoping to follow up with him just with his career, with what he's been doing recently. And he's been so busy doing a lot of great things, but he is such a pillar for the LGBT community. And that night he was hosting or co-hosting with Leslie Margarita. And he was just talking about being, unapologetically you, and his work he was doing with the LGBT community. And if you have the chance, go watch it if you haven't seen it, because he really is an inspiration for LGBTQ individuals, but also for anyone as well. And he was right off the heels of his wedding from his husband, Gio Benitez, who's a Good Morning America correspondent. So it was, yeah, I still don't know what the magic juice was in that made it go 10,000. I know he's a very handsome guy. I don't know. And I don't say that in a bad way. I'm shocked that that interview went to 10,000 in a great way. So it's been really, really cool.
Yeah, he's really cool. I think one of the coolest people I follow. So I actually met Tommy and Gio. Nice as can be.
Yeah, I met Gio the same night I met Tommy for the first time, and Gio was just as nice. He was there watching, supporting Tommy. They're both really nice, which is always great to see.
And there's definitely something that they can say. I think they're probably one on the top of the list for millennials and for Generation Y of like LGBT role models.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, they definitely are role models for LGBT community, couple goals, for couples, for LGBT, for their work, everything in between. Definitely role models for this day and age. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, you celebrate Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber's birthday with a big guest, Megan Picerno, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Megan, I apologize. So she is the very first and only, sadly, Love Never Dies Christine Dye, and then she also reprised the role on Phantom of the Opera, not just around the world, but on Broadway as well. And she revealed exclusively that she will be back when Broadway's open. So what was like having her on there?
Well, it was incredible. Megan Picerno is just wonderful. I thought back in the beginning of March, and Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber's birthday was happening, and I thought, you know what? I have this platform. Let me do some sort of I was trying to get to the cast members at the same time, but we ended up doing different times, which was great. I thought, let me celebrate him. He's one of my favorite composers. I love him so much. He's also one of those top dream interviews for me that I would hope to get one day. And I had seen Megan perform. I talked about it in my interview when I went to Andrew Lloyd Webber's a book event here at the Town Hall in New York City in 2018. And she sort of made a guest surprise appearance and sang Love Never Dies, the song from the title show, Love Never Dies. And I've always found her so fascinating. And yeah, we talked about her time in Love Never Dies, the international tour. and being Christine Daae on Broadway. And yes, she said that she is, going to be returning to the role, and she's very much looking forward to it. She couldn't wait, and was just as much excited as all of us to get back. And I knew she was so sweet, but I didn't realize just how kind and so loving she was. And it was just wonderful to talk with her. And what a talent for sure. And, for her to really make her Broadway debut, which is crazy because she's had such a great opera career. And so fascinating that this was her, Broadway debut.
And one note about that interview that stands out to me. There are actually two things. One about the time that she met Hal Prince, and the other time when she said, 2 show day over 1.
Yes. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, her relationship with Hal Prince was just beautiful. The fact that he was like a mentor to her, I thought that was so special. Hal Prince is somebody that I also really admired and so wish that I had the opportunity to meet before he passed. And hearing how he would call her like kiddo and pal, and he sort of pushed her to audition for the Phantom Enterprise all around was really special. And yeah, then when she started doing it and realizing that having to do 2 show days compared to, I guess, the one in opera world, and sort of the differences of opera world compared to Broadway, and sort of, I guess, the more demanding nature of it.
Before we move on, guys, I want to point out, for those of you who don't know who Hal Prince is, he was one of the most influential producers in theater, in international theater.
Yeah.
He had his hand on almost every successful major show from the 1970s to the 1990s.
Yeah. And if he didn't produce it, he was directing it. He was a man of all trades.
All righty. So speaking of man of all trades, we got to talk about Drew Seeley. And he's an actor and singer, and the original voice for Troy Bolton for High School Musical. So it's really interesting with Drew, because now it's like for him, in my opinion, he should be at the same level as a Zac Efron and a Jeremy Jordan.
Jacob, it's funny. I totally agree with you. I was thinking about that before the interview and after, and I thought, he's had a great career, but I agree with, like, why is he not at that level that Zac Efron is at, or Jeremy Jordan? And you never want to compare people's journeys and stories, and I try not to for me. But I agree. I'm like, he has it all. He's so talented, and he's a triple threat, and he had the voice, and he's heartthrob, and came from that sort of Disney Channel era. And I do wonder the same thing, sort of the metrics or the rhythm as to why he's sort of not sort of up there like that. It's very interesting, and I don't understand it. But he is such a nice guy, and a great all around person. And he was super excited. He's super excited to be a father, and just to talk about his career. He also loves to mentor and help aspiring artists. So he gives a lot of classes, and it was wonderful to hear how he loves to see the joy that brings to others. But I hope that, maybe, how it is in today's world, all of a sudden, like, somebody who wasn't, like, who we knew back in the day blows up and is really cool. So who knows, maybe in the coming next year or so, it'll blow up, and Drew Seeley will be like A-lister, and, like a Leonardo DiCaprio up there with the Zac Efron caliber,
I totally agree. I would love to sit down with Drew, because it would be a very interesting story to tell.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, very nice guy. And I couldn't, and that was what really struck me. I figured he was going to be nice, but just how humble he was, and it really was just humble. And I didn't know, too, for those who, I encourage everyone to watch that interview, but he was in a boy band growing up, which I found very shocking. He was in the era of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and his band, I forget the name of it, but they had a little stint for a bit, performing. They never got as big as Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, but they were coming up at the same time. They sort of knew each other, so it was crazy. And we talked about the weird correlation of boy bands and Broadway. You figure you have Lance Bass, Ashley Parker Angel, Drew Seeley. So it was interesting. He came up at a really cool time where we're with boy bands.
Awesome. The last interview I want to touch upon is one, probably your most unique interview today. It's with the Averno Universe creators Morgan and August. I was researching that. I was looking after I listened to your interview. I was looking at them. I'm like, wow, these guys have created an entire universe for theater. That's so untapped for potential.
So much potential, and what both of them have done is just incredible. I mean, I think on Instagram and TikTok, they've got like thousands and thousands of followers and viewers, and the universe, sort of the whole Averno in and of itself is just fascinating. And there's like parts of it that they just have released. Willow, they just released the soundtrack of Willow, which falls also into the Averno universe, and there's going to be releasing another sort of album soon. It's very interesting how it all falls, and they created all of this themselves. This made up this beautiful story, and I don't say made up in a bad scene. They created this beautiful story, and they are just two fascinating individuals. And they're in college, I believe, or like in high school. I mean, they're very young, and that to me was really inspiring to see that we have youth that are so talented and creative and have put that talent into creating something. And truly, as the song says, and the children are our future. And it's gotten a lot of pickup. I do see it going somewhere. I won't be surprised in the coming years or year if we see a lot more from the Willow, the Averno universe. It's really it's a big TikTok thing too.
And not to mention, when we're talking about TikTok, they brought Ratatouille away from Disney on Broadway.
Yes.
Which I think right now, I definitely see with Averno, there is a place. It could have some seeds of Disney on Broadway. Like have shows that could be running simultaneously. Like if you look at Beauty, if you looked at Lion King, Aladdin, and Frozen, or Tarzan, or Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sort of has that feel to it, and that sort of that ability of it. Yeah, I agree for sure.
All right. So what have been some of the challenges that you faced throughout your career, Rye, and how have you overcome those obstacles?
Yeah. So, wow. There's been a lot. I would say the biggest challenge that I still deal with today, and I'm getting better at it, is imposter syndrome. Sort of comparing somebody else's chapter to my chapter one, and just sort of feeling like, I need to be, this person is doing this and they're so successful already and they have this and that, and I feel like I'm not doing enough, and sort of that, that imposter syndrome. And that's been really hard to shake, because since from day one, I've always felt like I'm not doing enough. I'm, I'm worthless. I'm, not, I feel like everything I'm doing, nobody's noticing, and these people are doing that, and so dealing with that imposter syndrome that I've dealt with, that I've learned over these last few months to really get better with, that we all sort of deal with. And the biggest challenge too has just been the rejection, and it's made me stronger. When I first started out, especially, I was sort of I threw everything to the wind. I was like, I started this website. I want to interview everyone. I want to interview Audra McDonald, and I want to interview Sutton Foster, and all these sort of big people that, I was like, well, why wouldn't they want to talk to me? I'm doing this website and it's positive, and of course they want to talk to me. And over the 5-6 years dealing with just different sort of gatekeepers, as I call them, is PR reps respectively, who have like, no, they're not available, or they're not, and then to see a week later that this person is giving interviews, but it's like, oh, but I see they probably just didn't want to do mine because I'm this small thing, and feeling really sort of bad. And so that's really been a lot of the struggle, is just remembering where I am. And the one thing that stuck with me, that a quote that I learned recently, is comparison is the thief of joy. And that's from Teddy Roosevelt. It was something I learned very recently, and it stuck with me. And to just be like, whatever you do, be yourself, own who you are, follow your heart, and don't compare, your beginnings to somebody else's middle, and vice versa. And I'm getting better at it, but it's hard every day. And that, I guess those are sort of the challenges. And I also deal with anxiety and depression. So that cooped in with everything else. You sometimes wonder, as I sort of said earlier, like, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? And then you have to take a step back. And I do this often, especially now in COVID, just take a step back and say, whoa, wait a second, Rye, I'll reveal my age, you're 26 and you've already interviewed this person and that person. And I'm like, yeah, so, but then I'm like, well, you've done a lot for your age and it's incredible and you're growing. And that's what I have to remember. I get impatient sometimes and I just have to remember that I'm growing. And if you work hard and you keep believing it and knowing it, it'll happen. So
I always face imposter syndrome a lot, and I definitely share your experience with anxiety because there are podcasters that I wish that I was at their same level, and there's people I really wanted, and all of a sudden they're giving interviews. I'm like, what the heck? I have that same platform too.
yeah.
And I gotta say, even though we're 6 years apart, I applaud you for doing all this stuff because seriously, Susan Stroman by the age of 26.
I know and it was crazy. I was like, I went into that event. I was like, well, talk to whoever. I didn't think anybody would come talk to me. I was like, I was like in this little corner, and yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, hi, and again, I said, sweetheart. Yeah, what is she? 6-time Tony Award winner. She's a lot of Tony Award winning. I'm terrible. My Broadway memory is fading. But she's won a lot of Tony Awards, and it's very special. And yeah, so you understand with the imposter syndrome, and it's so tough, and it's mixed with, I think, just what we do in our profession, but also this world of social media and the world of likes and follows and sort of, feeling like, oh, if you don't have the most likes or the most listens, it's you somehow are, you're made to feel worse. So I understand it. Yeah.
All righty. So I know this question is going to lead us down a rabbit hole, but however, since you are Broadway's your generation's best friend when it comes to Broadway, what have you missed most about the Broadway shutdown?
Oh, wow. To be honest with you, what I miss most is sitting in the theater in the tight chair that I can barely move my feet in front of, and just being taken away into a world, be it in current reality, if it's based on a real life, or a fictitious place, and just being swept away. And for that 2.5 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, being truly immersed and seeing these beautiful people on stage, bringing art, bringing something that changes people's lives, that is healing the world. I miss that. I also miss the camaraderie of just being around other fellow theater people, but I miss taking in that atmosphere so much, of sitting in that seat and just watching live performance and live people perform at you and to you. And that is what I miss most. And I say to people now, I would give anything to, as we all would, to sit in a theater again. Hell, I would watch paint dry. I would sit in the theater and watch paint dry at this point.
All righty. And yeah, I get your point. No matter if you're taking to the Pride Lands or to Oz or even in Agrabah, even to the French Opera House, they always do. You always are transported no matter where, and all the performers and especially the crew, because you have to, and the orchestra, you have to give those two, because as I give credit to the performers, but it is the crew. Yes. And it is the orchestra that powered the performers.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that. I didn't intentionally mean to leave them out. Yes, especially the crew, the orchestra, the front of house workers, the ushers. I mean, it is truly a well-oiled machine, and without the orchestra, without the stagehands, without the technicians, you don't have anything. And they are also creating magic as well. We talk about how special theater is. I mean, a show this past season that changed my life, I talk about it all the time, is The Inheritance, which was a 2-part play. It was a gay play focused on sort of current themes and dealing with the aftermath 30 years later of the AIDS epidemic and sort of how we are today as gay men. Changed my life. I saw the show almost 3 times, 7 hours, and what theater can do to you is what I say that show is. I mean, it can change your mind. It can make you feel. It can make you just feel so many different things and transport you, and that's what theater's all about. And everyone in the theater all around. But I with the orchestra, yes, I cannot wait to hear that boom downbeat of a show's overture getting ready to start as well.
I can just imagine like being inside the Majestic when the Phantom of the Opera, when you hear the eerie and haunting Phantom of the Opera and the chandelier rises for the first time there. I could see a standing ovation. Or when Alexander Hamilton or Glinda and make their first appearance.
Everybody has always, I've heard from a friend of mine has said, what he can't wait. He has a friend who works in the orchestra pit at Wicked, and they were saying to each other, that night when Broadway resumes and Wicked resumes, and when Glinda comes down from the bubble and says, "It's good to see me, isn't it?" Just that emotion that is going to come over the audience, and that I'm sure that standing ovation, that applause is going to be incredible. And not just Wicked, but like across all Broadway shows.
They have, I think, going forward, the production team really needs to incorporate 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes of the cheering, the screaming, the hoopering and hollering, because no matter wearing masks, of course.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's going to be that first night on Broadway. I think is going to back on Broadway. It's just, I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to be like. I don't know what show I'm going to be at, whatever, but it's going to be magical, and it is going to be emotional. It is going to be soul cleansing for everyone. And yeah, it's going to be so special. And the shows are going to have to, shows will probably end up running longer than they're supposed to because there'll be so many people who are standing ovations and cheering and, so.
All right. So we got to start preparing to wrap up this conversation. I want to talk before we do, we got to get to Rye Entertainment because it's your latest venture. So why did you decide to launch this business?
Yeah. So I decided to launch Rye Entertainment, my production company. Because producing has always also been another passion of mine, especially once I moved to New York. Sort of my dream, as I say, is to sort of be and I am a multi-hyphenate, but to sort of be able to produce and also host. I sort of look at like a Ryan Seacrest type, but there are so many amazing projects out there that have been written or have yet to be written that I want to take on. And in all mediums, film, television, digital. I'm working on a project right now that hopefully when things resume, it can start back. It's a sort of at a small cabaret place, so starting out with incredible projects like that and growing from there. It's about innovative, groundbreaking, out of the norm productions that really just make you think and feel and are beautiful. And, I've wanted to be able to put my name on projects. There's many beautiful, wonderful producers out there, and I want to be sort of part of the next generation. And that goes sort of hand in hand with what I do with hosting. And I thought, with creating the talk show, I thought it was only fit. I also launched the production company, and I thought Rye Entertainment, keeping on brand was the best way to go. And I'm currently, if you are interested in collaborating, please reach out. I'm always open to collaboration. So.
All right. So if you had the opportunity to meet with aspiring entertainment entrepreneurs who want to get into our industry, what advice would you share with them?
Wow. Nobody's ever asked me advice. That's good.
Yeah.
I would say just never give up. Never give up. Be yourself. Don't compare yourself. And just know that if you have a dream and if you believe, that's all that matters. No matter how far-fetched it may sound to anyone, no matter who may question you, whether your parents or friends or family, if you want to do something, do it. Go for it. Believe in yourself and believe in your heart, because that's what will get you to where you are. It's a tough industry, the entertainment industry, as are pretty much every industry. But if you believe in yourself and you have a good support system as well, you have a good support system of close to people that believe in you too and want to help propel you, that's important too. So believe in yourself and never give up, and just to remember that you are you and not to compare yourself to others, which is easier said than done.
Alrighty, guys. To download more episodes of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, head to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. Just type in Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Once again, JACOBELYACHAR. Are you on Spotify? Are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Head to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Once again, Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And I know I'm going out of sorts on this one, but Rye, please share where you connect because I almost forgot to end the interview without asking how you guys can help them.
Yes. So you can connect with me at my website. You can go to ryeTheNewsGuy.com. That's RYE, thenewsguy.com. It has all of my episodes of Live with Rye. Rye Entertainment's on there. You can follow me on social media. You'll see it in my, if you're watching, but it's Rye _Myers, RYE _Myers, MYERS, on Instagram and Twitter. And on Facebook, you can find me on my Facebook page, official Rye Myers as well. I love hearing from all of you, but the best place to see everything that I do and to keep up with me, Instagram, of course, but the website, ryeTheNewsGuy.com, has everything and anything in between, the interviews, my content, and my production company, and so much more. RYE, thenewsguy.com, ryeTheNewsGuy.com.
Totally agree. And this, in addition to having other websites that you guys should check out, the blog that started it all, jakes-shake.com, is celebrating 10 years this year. It's the 10th anniversary.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you so much, Rye. Now, this interview and all the other interviews are going to be on jakes-shake.com. Once again, jakes-shake.com, including a lot of reviews of Broadway shows, some heavy hitters. And Rye, I'm happy that you're part of that. But however, guys, I need your help more than ever. Please consider heading to PayPal to keep jakestake.com and my platform up and running. It takes a lot. There's a lot of man hours that go into that. And it takes a lot from running the website, for all the licenses, and even for computer usage. So, guys, I love this so much. It's one of my dreams to keep this running for 20 more years. So, guys, any that helps. So please head to PayPal. You can find that link directly in our show notes and also on YouTube and also on the website and even on the podcast page. Rye, thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to me, and I'm grateful for your friendship. You, my friend, are probably one of your generation's top entrepreneurs. Everyone needs to keep an eye on you.
Wow, Jacob, that just gave me goosebumps. That's so sweet of you. I so appreciate that. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for inviting me on here and talking with me. I'm so honored. And as we've said before, you'll have to come on my show now. But that's very sweet of you, Jacob. Thank you. And I just wish you so much success and so much more with this. What you are doing is just as incredible. And you're one to watch as well. So thank you for that, Jake. That means a lot.
And thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. And guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to watch this and to listen to this conversation. Until next time, everyone, have a great one. You deserve it. Bye.